Unit 3, English AL, about communication. The unit is titled How Do We Communicate? Before we start, let me explain the meaning of communicate as a verb. Of course, the noun is communication. And when you communicate, it's a verb to share information with others by speaking, writing, moving your body, or using other signals. Because some people are not able to communicate verbally, so they have to communicate using their body language. So when we talk about communication, we have two levels of communication. Verbal communication, using words, speaking, writing, and non-verbal communication, which is using body language, signals, sign language, etc. Okay? All right, now let's see the words related to Unit 3. When we talk about communication, we talk about accent. And accent is a noun. We can use it as a noun. And an accent or accent is the way in which people in a certain area, country, or social group pronounce words. For example, I can say he's got a strong French accent, he's got a strong Scotch accent. So some people have broad accent, heavy accent, strong accent, and it's easy for you to detect the accent of someone based on the area where he or she comes from. So we can say that accent is part of pronunciation. The second one is the alphabet, and I guess everybody knows the alphabet, and the alphabet is a set of letters arranged in a fixed order, which is used for writing a language. So in English, we have the English alphabet from A to Z. If someone is able to speak two languages fluently, this person is called bilingual. And bi means two, lingual comes from language. Okay? Let's move to dialect. And we can say that dialect and accent are related, but dialect as a noun is a form of a language that people speak in a particular part of a country. So usually it's something regional. It's related to a certain area or part of the country in which people use different words and grammar, okay? Like in the north, in the east, etc. Okay? And some people can even write in a dialect or speak in a dialect. But dialect is not like an accent, because dialect includes different words and grammar, not just pronunciation. Fluently, which comes from fluency, and fluently is an adverb, and if you are able to speak fluently or you have fluency, you are able to speak the language with ease, without many pauses, without too many interruptions, so you can just speak well quickly. For example, when I say she's fluent in French, or he's a fluent Russian speaker. Next, we have ideogram, and it's a graphic picture or symbol, such as like when we write at gmail.com, when we use a percentage. So the idea is an ideogram can represent a thing or an idea without expressing the sounds that form its name. Now let me explain the difference between a translator and an interpreter, because they are not roughly the same. We cannot say that they're identical. A translator as a noun is a person whose job is to change words, specially written words, into a different language. So it's written. But on the other hand, interpreter is someone whose job is to change what someone else is saying into another language, and this is usually done orally. So some people can speak through an interpreter because maybe you don't know Chinese or Japanese, so if you talk to someone you can use an interpreter whose job is to change what someone else is saying into your own language, and then you can reply. So this is an interpreter between languages. Multilingual, we already had bilingual. Multilingual, multi means many, and lingual is related to language. So if you are multilingual, you are able to speak several languages, okay? And let me tell you that we have also trilingual, and trilingual is someone who is able to speak three languages. So now we have monolingual, you are able to speak one other language. Bilingual, you are able to speak two other languages. Trilingual, you are able to speak three languages. And if you can speak more than three, you are multilingual. A native speaker is a person who has spoken the language in question from earliest childhood. So that's your mother tongue. So if you are a native English speaker, this is your own language, your own mother tongue, so you can use it. Translator, as I said, is a person who translates from one language into another, especially as a profession or the written form of the language. Focus on is to center upon something. It's like when you try to focus on something. So as a verb, we can use it as a verb or as a noun. So you can focus a device such as a camera, microscope. If you focus on something, you give a lot of attention to a certain person, subject, or thing. So we can put it as center on or concentrate on, etc. Next, we have something related to body language. It's called gesture. And gesture is a noun. It's a movement of part of the body, especially your hand or head or shoulders. And why do we use gestures? As I said earlier, this is part of non-verbal language. We can use it to communicate a certain idea. It's like when you nod your head to say yes. If you shake your head from side to side, that means you are refusing something. You simply try to say no. The verb ignore, and if you ignore something, you refuse to take notice of or acknowledge something. It's like you disregard something, you pay no attention to something. Interrupt, and interrupt as a verb, it's to stop the continuous progress of something. It's like to stop something, like if you speak and someone interrupts you. The noun is interruption, but the verb is interrupt, and to stop a person from speaking for a short period by something you say or something you do, etc. So, for example, when I say she tried to explain what had happened, but he kept interrupting her. If you are annoyed by someone who keeps interrupting you, you can say, I wish you'd stop interrupting, because, interruption is something annoying. It can really get your goat. It can annoy you. Patient as an adjective. If you are a patient person, I guess you can tolerate something. You can just accept or tolerate delays, problems without being annoyed or anxious. The opposite is impatient, and everybody knows that it's good to be patient because it's a good quality. Let's move into grammar, and in today's grammar we have talking about experiences, or what we call finished and unfinished actions. I think you remember in Unit 2 we had past simple, and past simple is the tense we use when we talk about something that happened and ended in the past with no relation to the present time. You have to keep in mind that the past simple is something that happened at a specific time in the past. And also, we use it to tell stories and report past events. For example, she looked at me and smiled. Here we have past simple. We talk about something that happened, looking at me and smiling. Let's see the key words that we can use with the past simple, like last week, last month, 10 years ago, when I was a child, etc. All these words can be used with the past tense and to specify the time, because it's important here to tell when something happened, and that's the main reason why we use past tense. We use it to specify or tell exactly when something happened. For example, the course started last week. So if I ask you, when did the course start? You can simply say last week. I learned some Russian when I was in Moscow. So when did it happen? When I was in Moscow. Now let's move to the present perfect. And the present perfect is somehow like the past simple in the way that we talk about something that happened in the past, but it's related to the present. So why do we use it? We use it when we talk about general past. We talk about news and talk about experiences. Like when I say he's won lots of competitions, the idea here is that he won competitions, but the time is not important. More importantly is what happens. What happens is winning lots of competitions. I don't really have to say when did it happen. I have taken the test. It happens, but when, this is unimportant, but it happened. So as I said, we talk about past in general. One of the adverbs used with the present perfect, as you know, we can use some of the adverbs like ever, never, yet, already, and sometimes expressions like this week, this year. So all of those are used with the present perfect when we give news and talk about experiences. And for example, when I say, have you ever won a competition? No, I have never won a competition. I have never been to Mexico. So in my lifetime, I have never visited Mexico. I've already taken the test. Have you taken it yet? Has Jasmine called you this week? So here we use the present perfect, have, has, plus past participle. We also use the present perfect simple to talk about events that started in the past and continue into the present. Like when I say, we've had this car for a long time, that means the car is still ours. How long have you had that mobile? So you can say, I have had this mobile for 6 months now, a long time. We use how long and since for when we talk about duration. We use since plus point in time and for plus period of time. So I can say he's played golf for years, for many years. Or I can say he has played golf since he was 10. I have lived here since 2008. If you wish to use for, you can say I have lived here for 14 years or 15 years. Anyway, you have to use a period of time. But since we use point in time, the start point for something, we can also use the present perfect continuous for actions currently in progress that started in the past. And for example, when I say he's been playing golf for years, he's still playing golf. He started playing golf. So when I put the two tenses together, I can say he has been playing golf for years. I have been living here since 2008. Lily's been waiting here for an hour or since noon. So she's still waiting, and she started waiting an hour ago. Let's see the different form for the present perfect continuous. Of course, we know that we use have with I, you, we, they, followed by been or been, and after that we use verb plus ing. He, she, it, we use has plus been plus verb plus ing. If you wish to make a question, that's easy. You can invert the subjects and the verb. So we start with have, has, have I, have you, have we, have they, plus been plus verb plus ing. The same goes with has he, she, it, plus been plus verb plus ing. If you wish to give an answer, you can say yes or no, it's up to you. Yes, I have been blah blah blah. No, I haven't been blah blah blah. Or simply you can say yes, I have, or no, I haven't. Yes, he has, no, he hasn't, etc. If you talk about quantity, don't use the present perfect continuous. For example, because you are not talking about duration. And for example, if you say, I have taken 50 pictures, you cannot say, I have taken 50 pictures. So don't use ing. It's not a good idea. Next, we don't use the present perfect continuous if you use a state verb. Like, state verb is a verb that can express emotions, likes, dislikes, appreciation, love, etc. And you can say love, like, hate, want, need, understand, know, recognize, remember, believe. So how long have you known Ali? I can say I have known Ali since 2014. It would be ridiculous if you say I have been knowing Ali since 2014. Why? Because know is one of those verbs that cannot be used as an action verb, so we can use the present perfect simple, not the present perfect continuous. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you have a great day. Goodbye.